Good afternoon, everyone. I want to talk today about some of the things I'm being called to do and asking for you guys for some help, the ladies for some help when it comes to healing the world. I know it's not the most popular conversation. A lot of people talk about about healing. For myself, it's what I'm called to do, though. Healing the world is one of the most important things for the human race, and we have to basically work towards doing it as best way we can. I had a couple of angels come to me recently, angels of hope, actually. And one of the things I did a journey with them, well, lots of journeys with them. And one of the things that they want me to start doing is healing the world more often, like more consistently. And I'm going to reach out to everyone that's watching the video. If you have a topic about healing you want me to basically do, like a place, a person, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do them all, but I would prefer if I had too many to choose from. If that makes any sense. So please just put your comments in the comments. Just put in something that you feel like needs to be healed in the world. And it's nothing too small or nothing too great. Because when you're dealing with the spirit realm, you get lots of helpers, and you can heal a whole universe if you really believe that that's possible. And I do believe it is. One of the things I was shown recently is a way to heal the world. And what I'm going to do is, what I'm doing is actually putting an orb over a city, over a planet. It doesn't really matter. And that orb absorbs all the negative energy, or the things that people are needing to let go of, is a better way of putting it. And we take that orb and we place it into a fire, and it's a blue fire. And it does is it transforms the energy into jewels and gems. And then from there, I'm to distribute them to the place that that energy came from. It could be a person, it could be a place, and it could be a thing. So that's that's one of the things that they were showing to do. It was interesting. They also showed me that you have the capability of connecting onto the core of the earth, and the energy from above, like it goes through your whole body, your crown chakra, and then can create really beautiful golden light. Or it could be any color. It could be red, it could be blue, it could be purple, yellow, pink. It doesn't really matter. And then from there, you can walk around the earth. And they showed me, for instance, in myself, it was a golden energy that connected to the core of the earth, and at the top of the crown chakra turned into a beautiful golden orb above my head. And it activates all your chakras in your body. And then from there, you simply walk every space. So you can separate yourself into millions of aspects of yourself, and you walk the earth, and you cover every part of the earth. And when you do that, all of the souls, all the things that are trapped within the earth are going to be set free. And from there, that energy is transferred to a different earth. And like I say, there's multiple ways of healing. This is a little bit different than with black orb into the fire, into as crystals. This is a different type. They showed me to walk the earth, and it releases all beings caught within that are willing to be transformed or let go from the earth. And they go into a new earth, or an earth that's darker, colder. And the more we do this, the more we raise the vibration of the earth, which then will shift into a lighter version of earth. And it's a way it's separating two energies that are willing to change and energies that are not. And there was a being in this journey that I went to that I basically transformed a part of himself that was keeping earth trapped in this dark, cold energy. And when that energy gets released, it allows the souls that were trapped by this specific being. You could say a dark god, or some people could say it's dark, or like Satan or whatever. When you release that part, he goes back to heaven, a part of himself. It's usually not the whole thing, because it's hard to transform a large part of it. But the more he's released from the earth, of the earth's control, he might go into the dark. Other parts could go into the dark parts of the earth, but the control that he has over people diminishes. And those people are set free. They're almost say they didn't even realize what they were doing. If you get too lost into that energy, the whisperer, you could say, he whispers to the point where he'll get you completely take over your mind, body, and you'll do horrific things thinking that you're doing things that are actually good, but they're not. It's fooling when you think that you're doing something good when you're actually doing something really bad. By freeing that being, though, it frees the people that are within that grasp, and then either they go with it or they don't. And if they don't, they will fall into that other world, the other part of the world, or simply just some people will even end their life. It's really interesting when you heal and allow the energies of God, of the angels, of love through your body, of the ancestors, and you allow them to help you heal. It can be done in so many different ways, but it's super important that we actually do this work and we actually work together to change the world. And when you do that, you feel extraordinarily light, and it's very healthy for you to do that, because you're healing beings that, see, I don't believe that darkness is unworthy of healing. I believe that's the part that traps us here. The belief that they burn in hell forever is an entrapment statement that entraps everyone, because that's aspects of ourselves. Because every time we do something that's wrong, we could create, like there's so many lifetimes that we lived, that how many fractions of ourselves are in that space that we have to go and heal. And that lightens everyone, because we're all connected. So if you say that these things are going to burn in hell forever, and we don't ever do anything to try to help them, and people say, oh, only God can do that. Well, yeah, God works through you, does he not? And he expects us to do that. He expects us to step up and do what we can to heal the world. How else is it ever going to change? How else is it ever going to become the enlightened world that we all want to live in? A world full of peace and love. People say it's going to be boring. I don't think that way. I think it's the opposite. Because everybody's going to be free to do what they want to do. And that's not boring. So it's funny that's another entrapment statement that people say, because they don't want to do the work. They don't, like, I find that's when you do world healing or healing in general, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to listen to that. I don't want to be part of that. But they're the first ones to cry when things don't go their way. They're the first ones to condemn somebody for something that happens. But the more we heal ourselves and the more we heal other people or beings that can't help themselves, the faster we will actually be able to get to that point where there is happiness and peace in the world. I do see the separation of light and dark. I don't know what timeline that's on. Maybe it's just something the universe is telling us to give us an idea of what to do. It doesn't mean it's going to happen exactly the way they say it, but it's a way of getting there. So it's like the spirit realm is a mystery. It's a lot of metaphors. It's a lot of beautiful energy and twisted stuff, depending which part you go into. But it also sets us free as human beings. It teaches us how to be free. Don't take everything that is said literally. That's when you get entrapped inside your own ego. I always said the only spirits that ever wanted me to worship them are ones that were dark, twisted energies. Any being of love I've come across has never asked that of me. Think about that. Worship is only done for the ego. God doesn't want you to worship him. He wants you to do good and to help as many people as possible, but he definitely doesn't want you to worship him. And a lot of people might disagree with that, but that's okay. Because that's what you feel like you have to do at this time in your life, and that's perfectly fine. I just don't agree that it's necessary. In my own experiences, it's never something that I've asked to do. So I don't do it. Everybody, I believe, should be treated as equals. No one above or better than anyone else. Because if God is part of me, he's part of you and everyone else and everything in the universe. So why would God be above or below God? You see what I'm saying? So if we're all aspects of God, we're also part of God. So why would God feel that he's better than himself? That's ego, when you think you're better than other people. And to be honest with you, I think you're one of the most dangerous people in the world if you believe you're better than others. It just means that you're lost and you're not quite understanding the importance of everyone here. There's so many times you have people that have a ton of money that say that that's the most important thing. But that's not true, because not everybody has to have billions and millions of dollars. It's good to be financially free, though, because you have the ability to do what you want to do. And you're not trapped in an endless cycle of bills and worrying about feeding your family. It doesn't mean you're not a good person. It doesn't mean you're not extraordinary just because you're trapped in that reality. So most extraordinary people are the ones that don't have everything. But we always listen to all the people that have everything, thinking that they're better because they have money, they have influence. I don't work that way. If somebody has something good to say, I'm going to listen to them, no matter if they're a person with no money or a person that is very wealthy. It doesn't matter to me, because once you hear it, your soul will tell you whether or not it's worthy information, or information that is worthy for yourself. That's where I think the world is really mistaken. And but we're taught that money is the most important thing. So people tend to listen to people that have money. It's funny, I heard some amazingly extraordinary things come from just everyday people that work everyday jobs. And then you hear somebody that says a mediocre statement that has very little depth to it, that is taken like as an extraordinary statement. That's all an illusion. It's all fake. And it's the way they keep you entrapped into the reality that we're in right now. So the only way we're going to break free from this reality is to go within your own heart and to truly see everyone as equals, to be able to look at everyone as extraordinary, and to try to help the people that need help the most. And sometimes that's rich people, because they're the ones that are running around thinking that they're the most important thing in the universe, but they're very shallow. Not all of them, but there is some. And intelligence is intelligence. Intelligence is DNA. Intelligence is how you're born. Wisdom is something that you carry over. But sometimes we look at it as intelligence is more important than wisdom, because wisdom teaches you how to and what to do in life, and what's important, and it's hard work. Intelligence is just something you're born with. It's in your, like I say, it's in your DNA. It comes in. High intelligence is an extraordinary thing. Don't get me wrong. But you could be intelligent this lifetime and completely not in the next, and somewhere in between. But the wisdom that you carry through in every single lifetime follows you. The most wise people should be our teachers. They should be our leaders. I'm just going to close my eyes, and I'm going to go to the angels and ask them what it is they want me to heal next. I did talk about a little bit about some of the healings, but it was a very, very light. It's part of it. So I come to a space that is very, 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 very windy. And there's flames everywhere. And then the winds stop. And we're talking about LA and what happened there. And then you look over to Ukraine and what happened to Ukraine. You look at what happened to China during the Second World War, what happened to the Jewish people, what happened to the Russians, what happened to Americans. And look at this First World War, how brutal that was, and all the wars in between, and all the wars that were fought in the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire. And on and on and on, all throughout history of all the wars and the suffering that people have created and have lived. And all the agony and pain that was created from those are held within the earth. So how many times did you actually hear the earth to be able to let go of all these souls? And it's not an easy thing to let go. So all you're able to do is let a portion go. Every single time you do a world healing, you're only allowing a portion of these souls free, a portion of their actual dark cells free. So you could say that you would do this healing of the earth 1,000 times and you would still have thousands more to go. That's why it's so important that every single individual that's listening, that this video reaches, understands that message, that you just can't walk into a space and heal it completely with one time, because the only things that you're able to heal are the things that are willing to heal, willing to let go, willing to move on. And you can, though, pieces at a time, you can actually break away the chips of the darkness, of the chaos of a place. And sometimes you walk into a place for the first time, you're able to let go a big portion of it because the souls were waiting so long. And when they feel and remember something inside their hearts, that can expand and grow. And then there's a larger portion that can be set free. So what part of the world do you heal? It's always better to focus on a specific place than it is to try to do a mass healing of the whole world. Even though sometimes mass healing of the whole world is needed, but there's also about individual people, individual places, times, events need to be healed individually, uniquely. So I'm just flying over the world in space right now, looking down at the world, and these two angels of hope are with me. And this, you can go, the world's going around really, really fast. So you could say it's going back in time. How about the event that happened right at the beginning, where souls were brought back down to help, that were tore into the dark and light parts of themselves that still walk into darkness to this day. The forgotten ones. Some people call them the fallen ones, the fallen angels. What happens if that was a divine event? That the war in heaven wasn't simply a war in heaven, was a voluntary thing. And that the angels that fell to the earth were voluntarily here to bring in the new world, bring in the new physical world. That it was an extraordinary event of courage. What happens if you look at it that way? So many angels fell and were torn apart. And the light parts of themselves stayed and the dark parts of themselves stayed. But to this day, the light parts are gone back into heaven, but the dark parts are still trapped within the world, into the earth itself, not remembering who they were and where they came from. What happens if it was us as human beings and we were meant to actually set these fallen angels free? But if you wanted to keep them locked away forever, what happens if you created a story that there was a war in heaven and that these angels were forced out of heaven down into the earth and were meant to burn in hell forever? What happens if that story is wrong? And instead we're supposed to pray for those souls, to heal those souls, to bring them back into heaven so we can finally end the cycle of physical reincarnation that we're falling through to this day. That cycle, never-ending cycle that goes around and around and around that never ends. What happens if that is what we're supposed to do? But instead, these dark beings twist your mind because they don't even remember who they are, remember. They're lost. They are trapped within the world. And they're here the only way they can know is to continue to play the role that they originally were meant to do, is to corrupt, to manipulate, so we can learn as souls. But what happens if that we're also here to release them from that burden at this time? And we choose to turn our backs to them so they continue to stay trapped. In the meantime, you're trapping them and they're trapping themselves, and nobody remembers what the true purpose was. The true purpose is that we're supposed to do this for so long, and when the learning was done, we were supposed to be set free. But we've forgotten. And we don't remember that was the true purpose. So now all these souls are trapped within their world. We turn our backs to them and say that they need to burn in hell forever. What happens if that was never the way it was supposed to be written? What was done that way? The minds were twisted into believing that was the right thing to do. And all these souls are now still trapped. And now this endless cycle of chaos continues. And the only way to break free from that is to pray for the souls that are trapped. The ones that sacrificed everything in the name of God. They were never cast out of heaven. They were volunteers because they were the strongest ones in heaven that were sent here to be torn apart in behalf of who they really are. Some souls, some of those angels, were able to find themselves and reconnect to the dark side of themselves. And those angels are extraordinary, but they're also beautiful. They're not dark, they're not twisted, but they understand both sides. And all that knowledge that all throughout human history is able to be brought back fully to heaven, to understand, to have knowledge. And all the souls that were part of that from the beginning are extraordinary souls as well. But it's time to set these souls free. It's time to remember what their sacrifice was. To work to set them free from a place of imprisonment that they don't even remember that their true purpose. So you have to get them to remember who they truly are. They're the ones that need to be set free. And not set free as angry, but set free as full of love. Because that's the only way that you can truly set them free, is to get them to remember who they really were to begin with. And when you do that, you'll see an extraordinary shift that is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. When a soul remembers its true light, and that true light is reactivated within themselves, you will feel it inside your own heart. You will feel the importance of that action. It's a message that they wanted me to share with you. And now they want me to do a journey into a specific spirit. So they open a doorway, and I walk through the doorway, and I am going down really rapidly at a very fast pace. And it's almost like I'm a comet. And a comet hits the Earth. And when it hits the Earth, it shatters into two pieces, one of light and one of dark. And I see these meteors that smash into the Earth all over the world. These meteors are hitting and breaking, and these souls are separated in a very painful way. And I go into the actual dark part of this being, and I watch it start the corruption. Everywhere it walks, the plants die. They wither away. And these beings walked on the Earth, and then it was a massive battle. And they were all defeated and forced into the Earth. The physical forms were put into shadows that fell within the Earth. But the whispers can be heard, and they can claw their way back into the physical world, but it's very hard to do. But it's all done through whispers. And the more they whisper, the more influence they have and the stronger they can become on this physical plane. And I go back to the beginning of that soul as it shatters, as broke. At that moment, I place an orb of light into its heart, and I encase that light in darkness. And then I follow that light within the Earth. Many years go by. I still know where that light is. So I focus on the light. And I go within the Earth into a dark plane and through impossibly slow energy. And then it flips and it speeds up. And I'm in a place of, it's like a hell space. But before that, so many souls get trapped in that. It's almost like super thick jello that it takes thousands of years to get through. But I've done it so many times that I find an easier way to get through it. It does take a little bit of time. I see myself standing, and this whole world is in flames with very high winds. And it's blowing ridiculously strong, and the embers are blowing everywhere. And souls are stuck in so many different horrifying positions and places. I don't need to go into details about all the horrors. I'm looking for a specific soul. And the soul is trapped within a building. The building itself is in flames. And there's parts of the soul all through this building into the walls themselves, and he can't set himself free. And it's like the weirdest thing I've ever seen, actually. I've never seen anything quite like this. The soul is trapped here, but at the same time, it has an influence. It has created a cord that goes up into the world and spreads into many cords. This one thick cord goes up to the crust of the Earth, and when it hits the crust of the Earth, it spreads all over the world And this being is being fed this. So one of the things I need to do is shed the cord, to collapse the cord. I walk up and I take a really strong light and I cut the cord itself. And the cord shrivels up. And then it's like a cutting access to something and everything above it dies. This being forms into this weird, pulls itself together as this broken, burning building. And it pulls itself together. It's a very weird, it just literally collapses and forms into a humanoid shaped being. And it screams very loud and turns into a massive dragon and breathes. It's not even, it's like a smoke that is like, it's almost, you could say it would be something like a volcano when it erupts. Pyroclastic cloud is what it's like. And I simply just allow that to go through me and around me. I don't allow it to even enter any part of my soul. I just snap my fingers and I expand the light within its heart, and instantly it stops and it clenches its chest and doesn't understand what's happening. And I breathe my own fire, but this time it is fire of blue light that enters the dragon's heart, where I had placed this tiny little speck of light before. And I instantly explode the heart, the old heart, and replace it with the heart of light, fully formed. And instantly it starts to beat, and every beat it creates light to go through this being. And memories flood into the heart, which then flood into every parts of this dragon's body. And it's surprisingly stops and just experiences this. It's not in pain. It's not in suffering. It's like a memory that is coming back and flowing back into his mind. And all of a sudden the energy of the angels flow through this dragon. And instantly it bursts into a bright light. And this seems a bit painful, but it's not. It's the letting go of all the suffering that has happened for so long. It's spewing out tons and tons and tons of liquid, black liquid, and coming right out of the veins, coming right out of every aspect of this being, and it forms into a dark, twisted mound. And this dragon now is a form of a beautiful angel. And it looks at me and he nods, and we take that blob of energy and pull it into an orb, and we place it into the blue flames. And it just forms into tons and tons and tons of jewels. And this angel takes this sack of jewels and spreads them throughout the world. And every time he cries, a tear hits the jewel itself, which then makes it shine really bright, and he casts it to the earth. And every soul that wishes to take one will be blessed. Some will allow the jewels to fall within the earth, but that's okay because they're not ready for it. But the earth can absorb as many of these jewels as possible in order to grow itself as well, to heal itself. I'm standing in amongst this world, and you see so many suffering souls down here. This is not a place for just beginners to go to, but is a place I am blessed to be able to go to. Samakayo Soryana, Nasa Nakriyo, Nasio Tarasen, Tiso Makayin. I'm standing again back on the beach where I began. Thank you very much, everyone. That's one of the things that is extraordinary to do that. It's wonderful. It's an amazing experience. And there's so many souls that need our help. This is what the Angels of Hope wanted me to share with you. Thank you very much. And if you wish to do a journey with me, you can go on my website at amonrosawakening.com. And I also do a healing oracle deck, which I need to push a little more. I keep saying that, but I will start doing journeys with it. My life's kind of been upside down and sideways, so it's time that I spend a little more time working on that and showing everybody how powerful of a tool it is. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Take care.